Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a new channel called Laffy Crafty, and here we're going to be making a lot of beautiful crafts, so make sure you subscribe and like my videos. It'll help me out so much while growing. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you like the craft. Let's get crafting. So for this craft, you're going to need these flat wooden pieces from the Dollar Tree. They're the hanging pieces. They came with the little um, twine on the top, but I cut those out, and now there's a hole there that we're gonna fix. But first thing we want to do is we want to pry off the little window panes that's on there. I had started um, cutting out one of those before, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. So I just took like a knife, a very thin one that can slide underneath the window pane, and I started prying that up. As you can see, just be careful that you don't split the wood. The wood is very thin, and if you don't do it carefully, you'll split the wood. And one of mine was splitting at one point, and I had to like go back underneath and try to get it to not split. But make sure you be careful while doing this. Now you're gonna want to start cleaning off the surface. There were a little bit of edges, and what I did was I took my knife and I scraped it, and then I used some sandpaper from the Dollar Tree, and I just sanded it down to make sure it was a nice and flat surface so that we wouldn't have any bumps later on. So you have that's the other piece. With this piece, I didn't. One of it had one window and a door on it, and the other piece had the windows and no doors. So I had to take off the door on this piece, and now I'm sanding, and I will remove the window on top. Now here you'll see me taking the window and putting it back in place. This is only for the top window because the top window didn't have an outline. So I'm just drawing the outline of the window. All you need is the outer lines. I had first started drawing on the inside, but I erased it and just kept the outline of the outside. So you remove the window after you trace it, and you want to connect those little lines where the inside of the window was that you can get, and you just connect those lines. I just freehanded mine. You can use a ruler if you like. I found that it wasn't really necessary, so I didn't use a ruler, and it came out just fine. So the other two bottom windows, the outline was already there, so I just connected them. You would need a box cutter for this part. Any box cutter is fine. Um, So you just want to make sure you have like a strong enough one, not those little flimsy ones. So then you want to start scoring the outline of your window. It is important to score it because it just makes it easier to cut. So make sure you score them first. Okay, so confession time. The bottom window that I'm about to cut, I did not score it. I forgot and I just went in. So as you can see, it's gonna be a little bit harder for me to cut. you want to put the knife in, not to the corner, but a little ways off the corner. And you want to just go back and forth like you see me doing. And it kind of cuts, but you have to put some pressure on it. This is going to take some elbow grease, so tuck in and expect to be putting in some work on this part. Since this part is going to take us a little while to cut, I figured I'd say thank you for watching my videos. I hope you like the video so far, and I hope you're being entertained. If you are, please subscribe to my channel to help me build this community. Give me a thumbs up and click the notification bell so when I post new videos, you can know right away. Okay, so now here you go. Your piece popped right out. You just remove that, and whatever little straggling pieces that's left in there, you can just scrape it away with your knife. And I also took a nail file and filed the inside of it to make it smooth so that there's no splinters or anything hanging around. Now we're going to do the top window, the one that I scored before. Remember I said that it was going to be easier to cut, and this, you can see why right here, how easy it was for me to cut. Now when you get that piece out, you just want to go ahead and clean off all the rest of the pieces that was left behind. Take your nail file and clean that up. Now you want to go ahead and remove these little pieces on the side. I just removed it because I liked the look of the house just being square on the sides. I just didn't want those little pieces. If you like them there, you can leave them, but I removed them. Now I'm going to take my same knife and clean up the inside of the windows. Just get them nice and clean. Just clean away all the glue or whatever that may show when you put these pieces down on your house. You want clean windows. You don't want no dirty windows. Now, at first, I decided to go with this Waverly Antique Wax. It's water-based. So I painted them all, and then when I put them up against my house, I wasn't too thrilled by the look of it. So later on, I ended up painting my windows gray. It was just a gray paint that I mixed some white and some black chalk paint together and got a gray to my liking. So yeah, you can definitely do that, or you can leave it as it is. Depending on what look you're going for, you can leave it how it comes. You can antique wax it. You can paint it gray, red, green, whatever you like. It's up to you. Now here I'm taking a pencil, just a regular pencil, and I am drawing out the outlines of the bow. As you can see on the little wreath on the door, the bow is not defined, so we want to put some lines so when we're painting it, we know, we have some guidelines on where we should put the color down. Now we're gonna get ready to paint our wreath on the door. I might just have this little tiny brush. Actually, this brush was a makeup brush to put lipstick on. I had, and it's very thin and it's very tiny and it's exactly what I needed. So I decided to use that brush. The green paint that I'm using is just some regular water-based crafting paint that my daughter had laying around. So it was perfect for what I needed. So I just used that. So we have some candy apple red paint from Apple Barrel. We're going to use that to paint the bow. So I'll just take a little bit on my brush and start painting the bow. You want to paint with the grain on the bow so that you get a more realistic look instead of a just blotted whatever look. Now we're going to go ahead and paint the rest of the door. Whether you be staining it or whatever color you're using, you want to paint the wreath first and then paint the door. So let's get to painting our house, guys. So I'm painting mine in white. I didn't use any specific white. I mean, you can use white chalk paint, you can use a gloss paint if you like that look. I just happen to have some matte white paint that I just had laying around from other projects, so I used that. But whatever paint you want to use, it's just fine. Just make sure you do a couple coats to cover the engravings that's in the wood, because there are some engravings there. Oh, as you can see, I forgot to cover up those holes. So I took some spackle from the Dollar Tree and I just took a popsicle stick, cut off the end, and I fixed those holes. So make sure you fix those holes before you paint your piece. So I thought I'd show you guys what it looked like with the stain on the house. You can make up your own mind if you like this look or not. But I decided to paint mine gray, and I'll show you those results also. Okay guys, so these are the pieces that's painted gray, and as you can see at the bottom, it was supposed to be snow down there, so I just painted the bottom of the windows white, and I let some paint hang out in a bowl for a little bit so that it thickened up. And then I just brushed that on in swirls at the bottom to create some texture because the paint dried a little thicker there. So it created the illusion of like puffs of snow on the window pane. Now here I'm going to lay the door down where it's supposed to go on the house, and we're gonna trace out the inside of the door, because what we want to do is we want to make a solid gray door, so we don't need that white showing through that's coming from the house. So we want to trace the inside of the door so that we can have an outline to paint gray or whatever color you choose. Okay, so if you're not really good at doing straight lines when you paint like me, don't sweat it. The outline of the door is going there, so we don't need to be precise. Okay, so we want to get started on our walls. You're going to need 8 popsicle sticks for each wall. You're going to need 6 popsicle sticks for the act to lay down. Actually, the last 2 popsicle sticks are going to go across as supports for the wall. So you're laying down 6 popsicle sticks. You want to line those up really nicely and straight using an angled ruler. You can pick that up at the Dollar Tree in the hardware section. I picked up my popsicle sticks from Amazon. They came 100 in a box for $6.99. I'll link that below. So you want to go across the top with a bead of hot glue. You want to put a good amount. And then you want to lay that popsicle stick down and hold it down so that you get a good stick and nothing's going to be falling apart. So press that down, and then you want to do the same at the bottom of that wall. You actually only need one of the Dollar Tree packs of jumbo sticks to do this craft, just one pack. Now you want to make sure that you're pressing down everything and you're putting a generous amount of hot glue so that nothing comes loose when you're trying to cut your popsicle sticks. We don't want any pieces falling out, so make sure you put some good hot glue and you press those down firmly. Now you want to use some cutters. You can either use scissors or any kind of cutters. I use these cutters. I usually cut, these cutters cut metal, and they're perfect for this, so I decided to use that. You just want to cut off those flaps that's protruding out. Now you want to lay your wall down, and you want to take that ruler and draw a line straight across the top right where those little bumps start. You don't want to cut a lot off, you just want to cut the bumps off. You do that on both sides. So you guys, I actually didn't film myself cutting off the little bumps after I marked it. So here you can see me taking the other piece and kind of just taking a template from that and just marking off the other wall that I made, because you do need 2 walls. And I cut both of those right off where I marked it at. So I took a piece of sandpaper that I got from the hardware section at the Dollar Tree, and I just laid that down and I sanded down the sides of my walls just so that there's no splinters or any pieces or bits, or if there were any uneven spots, I just sanded those down flat with the sandpaper. Voila, we have our perfect walls. So we're gonna need 8 popsicle sticks for this other part. We need to make some supports for our walls to go onto our house. So we're gonna stick each 2 popsicle sticks to each other. So you put a bead of hot glue down the middle and stick another popsicle stick to the top. You want to press that down firmly. We're gonna do that 4 times. So now that we have all our 4 pieces, those are actually to support our walls. So we're going to take our walls and measure how tall they are right up against those sticks that we just stuck together and mark them off. Okay, so now we're going to take the sticks that we just marked off and we're just going to cut off the excess up to the line that we drew on there. Now you'll see me taking the sticks that we just cut and just dragging them back and forth on my sandpaper that I got from the Dollar Tree, just to make the ends not as sharp and the splinters. We don't want no splinters in our fingers, so we just clean those off and get them nice and smooth. Okay, so we're gonna take our house pieces, the flat pieces, and we're gonna take our sticks that we just cut and sanded, and we're gonna wanna stick that not to the edge of the house, but a little ways in so we can have some space to set up our wall on the outside. So I went in, I don't know how much space I left. You can actually put your wall down and measure from the inside. You can draw a line with your wall so it can be precise, but I just kind of eyeballed it to see where I would lay my sticks down. I put some hot glue down and I stuck that piece down to it. I did pick it up against the other flat piece of house cut out and marked it with my pencil so I can have them in the same place on both pieces so we won't have a wonky house. So now we're gonna set those pieces aside and we're gonna start painting our walls. Um, Like I said, I'm just using a regular white matte paint that I had from other projects. So I'm just gonna paint the walls, and we have the walls painted. We're gonna move on to making our roof. So at first, I measured wrong and I used 8 popsicle sticks. And we actually needed 7 popsicle sticks. So here you see me using 8, but I will show you after I'm done and I get to where we're putting the roof on. I'll show you how I remedied that and actually use the extra piece as a support for the roof. But if you want, you can just do your 7 now and then make your support for the roof later. Now you want to pick up your roof and you want to cut off those flaps from the supports. Now we're going to want to take our roof parts and we want to take our ruler and just draw a line right where those little bumps are on one side of the roof. We only want to cut off one side, so draw a line where we're going to cut those little bumps off. So we do that to the both sides of the roof. So now you're going to see me take the roof and we're going to sand those down so that there's no edges or no pieces with the Dollar Tree sandpaper. Then I paint them in the matte white and let them dry. So now we need some window glass for the inside of our windows. So I had previously bought something, and you know that plastic that comes over products. I saved that piece from a little handsaw that I bought from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna roughly eyeball how big do I need the piece to be for the window, and I'm just gonna cut out little squares of that clear piece of plastic. It can be any plastic, it can even be plastic wrap once you pull it tightly and stick it down. So feel free to use whatever you have on hand to make the windows. So I just want to apologize for my messy bench and for my messy fingers. They're all filled with paint, but I get kind of crazy when I'm crafting. I'm in a zone and I just don't take the time to actually clean until I'm done. So that's why my table's so messy. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been watching the video so far and you made it this far. And I am so pleased that you're loving the video. Don't forget to like the video if you are enjoying it. Okay, so now that we have our 3 windows, we're going to stick those onto the back of our front piece. We're going to just apply some hot glue right to the house part, not the plastic, onto the house, close to the edge as we can possibly get. And then we're just going to stick those glass/plastic pieces down to create our window glass. Make sure to get it firmly down without pushing it or it lifting and moving, or you'll get little tiny smudges of hot glue onto the glass, which is very unsightly and you don't want that. Now here you'll see me brushing away the little glue threads that get there from the hot glue. I actually got a little hot glue on my roof and I had to try to pry that off. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. So it's no biggie. We make little mistakes sometimes, but we can fix it. So now we have all our pieces. We are going to put our house together, you guys. Yay! So we have our 2 walls, our 2 pieces of roof, and our 2 front pieces. We need our 1 wall and our front piece, and we are going to stick that first side of the wall to the side of the house where we put that support. We're going to stick it straight to the support. So we're going to put a nice bead of hot glue straight across that support like you see me doing, and then we're going to stick our first wall on. Make sure when you stick that wall, you press it real good and tight into that support and you hold it there for a while so that it dries right in place. Make sure that your wall is straight. Make sure you put it flat to your mat or your table and make sure that it's straight. Now we're going to flip it around and do the exact same thing on the other side. Make sure it's straight, you guys, when you're doing this. When you stick the part on, you want to put it flat down on your table and make sure that you're getting everything in place and that your walls are evenly placed. Now for some extra security, you want to put a nice long bead of hot glue on the inside of that wall and support. So like, like with building a real house, you put some extra cement in there so that it holds up real good. Now we want to grab our other side of our house and we want to line that up to see how we did with our balls and see if they're really straight or what. So we want to now put hot glue on the supports on our other side and stick that on. So now that we have basically our house made, we need a roof. We need a roof to keep the snow out. So um, I'm just going to take my roof piece and I'm going to put it up against the house where the roof is supposed to go. And here's where you're going to see, guys, where I was supposed to use 7, but I used 8 popsicle sticks and it wasn't measuring up. So I took my cutters and I cut off the extra popsicle stick. Okay, I just cut off the extra one and I actually used that one for the support for the roof. So to create the supports, you just take those 2 extra pieces, you put them up against each other, and you just want to cut off the very end of it where those bumps are, and you have 2 supports. If you're doing this, and if you had done 7 before when I told you that I made a mistake, you just want to take 2 regular popsicle sticks and cut off the bump ends, and you'll have your supports for the roof. So here I'm going to take the supports for the roof and I'm just going to put the roof slat straight up against the house to see how far down do I want it to be. And I'm going to take my pencil and just mark the inside of where I'm holding the support so I know where to put the hot glue for the support. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my hot glue to the house to put my supports for the roof on. I just stick that on and hold it in place for a little while until the glue dries. And then I just flip the house around and I do the very same thing on the other side for the other support. Okay, so let's get roofing. We're gonna put our 2 slats of the roof on top of those supports, and we're going to hold them up to see how far down we need to have them overlap the sides of the house. So once you get that perfect placement, you want to now lift up each slat and put down some hot glue on your support and stick that down. Now make sure the space that you leave between the roofs there for the peak can be covered by 2 popsicle sticks. You don't want to leave too much of a wide space that 2 popsicle sticks can't cover it, because that's how we're going to close up the roof. Okay, so now that we got the roof stuck down to the supports, we're going to put little beads of hot glue on the edge of the house to stick the other side of the roof panels down. Now these are our final 2 popsicle sticks that we're going to use, and we're just going to take those and cut off the bumps on the ends, just the bumps, and we're going to sand those down on the edges and put them on the very tip of the house to make that little extra tip to secure the rest of the roof. And I'm going to take those off After measuring them, and then put a long bead of hot glue between them and stick them as in like a V shape. While the glue is still wet though, you want to put it in place on top of the house so that you can mold it around the roof while the glue is still hot. So after you get it perfect, you want to lift that back off the house, put down a bead of hot glue on both sides where you're going to stick it down, and just stick that V to the house. Now you're gonna see me paint that little peak in white. If you want to make that gray or stain it or make it a different color, feel free to do that. Just do whatever makes you happy. I liked mine in white, so I kept it white. Now we're gonna flip our house onto the face of it, and we're going to start sticking on our window panes. This is the most fun part, for me at least. So I just put beads of hot glue on the inside of the actual window pane, and I just positioned those and stuck them over the windows. So this is our beautiful house. This is the inside. It's a very sturdy house. It's a very nice piece. We have two more things to do to this house. I wanted to put a little holder on the inside to hold a tea light candle. So I just had this Dunkin' Donuts cup, and I cut off the bottom of it, and made a little holder. I just stuck it onto the inside wall of the house, where you wouldn't be able to see through the windows. I just added some hot glue and stuck that bottom piece facing upwards to hold my tea light candle. So for our last order of business on this craft, I just took a little greenery, a little Christmas greenery that I had. I just needed a little tiny bit just for the wreath, just to make it look a little more realistic, make it pop a little. So I just took those little pieces and I hot glued them to the wreath to give it some dimension, and it gave it, I cut off the pieces that had the little frost paint on the greenery, and it gave it such a beautiful touch. So yeah, and that's the end of the craft. Every time I walked past this piece, I thought of new things to do. I ended up giving it a little aged look. I will show you the aged look, and I will show you it plain white like it is now, and you can decide whether you want to do that or not. But for me, I think the aged look look gave it extra oomph. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you love the house. If you made this house or you attempted or you need help with anything, please leave me a comment and let me know what you need help with. I would love to answer any questions that you guys have. Also, leave me in the comments if you decided to go with the stain or gray or whatever color you decided to paint your house. I hope you guys attempt this craft and I hope it comes out beautiful. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like my video and turn on the notification bell so when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Thank you for watching.